Hello, and welcome to part 3 of our 4-part series on business and human rights in Africa. In this episode, we turn our focus to Kenya, exploring the lived realities from the perspective of the Maasai community. We are joined by William Sipai to help us unpack this important conversation. My name is Regina Kimansi, and this is the Green Guards Podcast.
My name is William Sipai, and I come from Kenya, the southern part of Kenya. As Kenya is divided into counties, of course I come from Nakuru County, Naivasha Sub-County, which is also the southern part of Nakuru County.
You've been affected by issues of businesses coming to invest in your region, and you come from a community that is mostly nomadic or they are pastoralists. So how has this affected your way of living as a community and you as an individual?
Of course, I'm a pastoralist, which means we require large portions of land to do our grazing fields for livestock. And of course, living in the Rift Valley, which is of course rich in geothermal. I come from a very expansive ranch, which is called Kedong Ranch, where I live with my community, and the whole of it is actually geothermal is deposited, and they are attracting geothermal extractors to come to the ground and do extracting geothermal. Again, it's also rich in sand harvesting for construction, and it's a prime land which is not very far from Nairobi. Nairobi is actually is full of construction, where the land is now scarce. So most of the industries are now running to the rural parts of the country, specifically where I come from. So industries are developing in the same land due to the closeness of Nairobi, so it's prime. So of course it's affecting our livelihood as pastoralists. The land is reducing in size, and of course as the land reduces in size because of those companies and investors, it also reduces our livelihood. It's also affected, as you also depend on livestock. So the moment the grazing field decreases, then the number of livestock also decreases. So that's how it's affecting our livelihood. Then because of extraction of the geothermal and the harvesting of sand, is also affecting the environment, generally affecting the environment.
From what you're saying, because you're largely dependent on water for your animals, I'm assuming that there's now less water for the animals, there's now less land for grazing the animals, as you've said, and other forms of human rights violations. Please take us through that.
Of course, these companies, especially the geothermal companies, require a lot of water for the extraction of geothermal from the ground. So it affects the source of water for our livestock, because it requires big volumes of water to do their work. And then again, due to harvesting of the sand by these companies is a source of actually climate change, which is seriously hitting the ground, because it's giving room for running of water and creating valleys, creating deep gullies, and of course risking the community and the settlement of the community when the valleys are created. And of course when soil is being carried away, fertility of the soil and it's also being affected. And then again, when during constructions of those industries brings the pollution of chemicals being induced into the environment and cause pollution. Construction of those industries is also violating our right as a result of displacement and sometimes forced evictions and demolitions of our homestead, our houses, our structures, both permanent and semi-permanent, and manyatas, of course, and also affecting our culture. We used to have sites where we do our culture, and also erecting of those industries, of course, will relocate the community, taking away such sites in the name of advancement of economy and advancement of businesses, without caring about such site for us as a community, caring our culture. So it's actually affecting our right of culture, and then also affecting our right in terms of land, because it is coming to displace us from land, and then sometimes causing the government to support such initiatives to relocate the community, and of course due to a land acquisition to pave the way for such industries, sometimes resulting to forced evictions and relocation by the government, and sometimes without alternative land to relocate. And I remember sometimes we have a problem with legit documents of land ownership, as it's one of the requirements for you actually to have that voice to be heard by the government. So because you don't have those legit, we have been denied initially during the white settlers settlement, where the community have been displaced to pay the way for the white settlers to lease their land, but that land was never reverted back to the community. So the government took advantage of the same, as not having legit papers to reclaim. So most of the time we are told that the land does not belong to you, so you have to relocate without compensation, without alternative land to relocate to.
Of course, you've raised these issues to the responsible government representatives, maybe the local leadership, even the county governments, the national government, and maybe you've raised these issues to the corporations that are investing in the region. How has been their response so far?
Because most of these entities, most of these corporations are owned both nationally and internationally, and are owned by the political elites. They are owned by some of the government officials. So most of the time, they get support from the government. So when they are doing violations of the human right, the government sometimes does not do anything. Instead, they support them. They give them support when they want to come and do the investment, and sometimes sell the shares to international communities, international investors. The government give them support. They brought in around 300 RDU police to displace their community, to do demolition of their homesteads, of their manyatas. Sometimes the government, instead of them interfering as a responsible authority, they go on supporting the entities, they go on supporting the enterprises, the corporations. So we are getting less support from our government.
Kenya, we have the NAP right now, and which has come to an end and should be maybe updated. Within the 5 years that it has been in implementation of the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights, have you been involved in any way in maybe capacity building, anything of the sort?
Considering the level of illiteracy in my community, nothing like what is called NAP is a vocabulary. So members of the community does not know what is called NAP. I'm also hearing for the first time NAP myself. I'm also hearing for the first time when I'm attending these trainings about NAPs. So nobody has taken an initiative to come and educate the people about this something called NAP. Not even enlightening them about their constitution right. Their rights as stipulated in the constitution. Nobody's educating the community because they're taking advantage of their literacy. So a bigger percentage of the community is illiterate. So nothing to do with NAP, we don't know.
And that's like a call out to the bodies that are involved in carrying out capacity building. Maybe in the next phase of maybe capacity building, they should come to regions like where you come from and in the more rural areas which are rich in resources, even regions that are not rich in resources, but there are businesses going on there with big corporations, but they don't know how to approach them. William, in terms of jobs, because businesses should bring jobs to local communities, has your community benefited in any way as far as jobs creation?
Somehow, yes, but with a very small magic, very small percentage. Because these corporations are taking advantage of literacy level in our community. So what they normally do is that when the community protests concerning employment, what they normally do is that these positions require those people with experience and skills. And because you don't have skills at the community, you don't have experience, you have no skills, then the position that will give you casual laborers. So they end up importing laborers from out of the community members. And actually, the community accept because they don't have skills. They are not educated. They don't have experience on these things. So the companies always take advantage of the literacy level of the community to tell them that we are willing to employ you, but you have skills. If you don't have skills, then we'll have to import the skilled laborers. So what is tough for the community is only the casual laboring.
And we are here, of course, in the morning we're talking about mandatory human rights and environmental due diligence. And from your perspective, do you feel like we need stronger laws that will actually change communities' experience?
Of course, stronger laws are needed that will protect the human rights. And of course, we have laws in our constitutions. And if these laws are practically put in place, when they are enforced by the concerned authorities, or sometimes they're strengthened, or sometimes if need to be amended, should be done by the concerned authority, then the community needs these laws, needs these maps. They need them to protect their rights.
And despite the violations, despite the challenges that you're facing as a community that is living within an infrastructure, quote-unquote, prone area, your community keeps going. The Maasai culture continues. What keeps you going?
We are keeping standing, we are keeping trying to stand strong, though we are being disadvantaged by such corporations, such enterprises, entities. But what's keeping us going with the spirit, the touch that we have with our land, the touch that we have with our natural resources, the touch that we have with our way of livelihood. Because we only depend on livestock. We don't do agriculture. Where I come from, we don't till land. We only keep livestock, and because we have larger number of livestock that require big size of grazing fields, that attach, that make us so big attached to the land. So what keeping us going is that the attach that we have with the natural resources, the attach that we have with our land. Land is life to us. Land is more life than even water, because water is on the surface of the land. Sometimes it's deposited in the land. So because land is life, we are attached to land. So what keep us standing, keep us going, is the tie that we have with our livelihood and land.
And your key takeaways from this training on business and human rights?
I'm so challenged, and I think what I'm learning from such short course on business and human rights is a challenge to me to pass the same to my community, to educate them with the experience that I'm getting from such trainings, to pass the same to my community, because now the language to me is not a barrier to them. Then I can use the same, they can pass the same using my language to the community, that these things exist and this right to them exist, and that the world has interest of protecting them, that the protection to them is supposed to be a priority to the government. The government should prioritize the protections of the local community, the protections of those who have been affected, who will be affected, who will be impacted by business entities, business corporations. And that because I'm being challenged, then it means it's a wake-up call to myself that I should attend more than this. I should even think of going back to class and train on these human rights laws, so that I can help the community to improve their standard of livelihood, their standard of living, and then to protect them from violations. So it's a challenge, it's a call to me. I thank those who have organized, that is Pretoria University, Oslo University, and Arab University, for giving the local community space to attend such wonderful, great trainings that will give the local community experience and pass the same to those who did not get advantage to attend this. It's like a crash program. If you could get more than 1 week, I'll just ask, thank so much the organizers, and ask them if they can give more, allocate more time on this.
How do you say thank you in your language?
In my language, they will say thank you is a showing for the organizers, Pretoria University, South Africa, Oslo University in Norway, Nairobi University in Kenya are showing for the presenters of such programs, are showing for the trainers, are showing for the moderators, are showing for those who have attended, and are showing for the interviewer of this, that is Regina.
And as we finish, William, do you consider yourself a green guard? If you do, please tell us how.
I think I have to. I think I am. I consider myself the green card, yeah, sure. To advocate for environmental justice, to advocate for human rights justice, to advocate for legislation or creation of policies within Africa, to provide justice, to strengthen such institutions with strong policies and laws to protect human rights on business issues across Africa.
Thank you so much, William, and we thank you for your service for the Maasai community. Thank you for your service to the country, for advocating for the various rights, and thank you so much for joining the Green Guards podcast, and welcome to be one of us. I know you're already one of us, but welcome again. See you again soon.
Asik.